So welcome again to Open Hardware Makers community review of our curriculum. Um, yeah, today we want to launch together with you the community review. We put together some ideas about mentoring program in open hardware. And yeah, we need you for giving us input, commenting on our ideas and so on. Today we will we will tell you a bit more about Open Hardware Makers, what it is and where it originates. And we want you to know also what should be reviewed and actually why we need your help. And we will show you how you can actually contribute to the review. So it all started with Mozilla Open Leaders. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with it. Down there you see a hyperlink, and we will also later share the slides so you can directly go to the webpage explaining like the concept of Mozilla Open Leaders. It's basically a leadership training, an open leadership training to contribute to the internet health movement. Um, yeah, we all of us actually contribute. Like Julieta, Andre, and me, we all were parts of open leader programs where we learned how to work more open, and made our projects during this time, during this mentoring program, more open and open it up for a community. So after some time, Mozilla started a new Open Leaders program, an Open Leaders X, which basically had as a goal to kickstart a whole bunch of different Open Leaders programs. And that's when Julieta, Andre, Jose, who is not on this call today, and me um, came together and we started an open hardware open leaders program. So others was not the only one. There were quite a few programs which were launched after Open Leaders X. For example, the Open Life Science mentoring program and so on. And on the left side, you see our pilot. Right. And now Julieta will tell you more. Andre will tell you more about the pilot. Sorry.
Hi. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so as Alex mentioned, we run the pilot as open hardware leaders. And this was a great experience because it allowed us to learn a lot of things and also have time together to try to come up with a first version of this program, which we did in a very short amount of time, led by the OLX program. And then we had, when was it? About 2 3 months, 2 months ago already? I don't know. Could you move to the next slide? We had our last community call, right? And we had wonderful projects like Alquimetricos and Corsia and UC2. Then we also had Otto and Ecosen. And um, these were all projects that were, in a way, quite advanced in terms of their prototype and how they were already interacting with their communities. Um, and so they learned a lot from us. We learned a lot from them. Um, but we thought that we would like to do something also that could get projects that were not so evolved in the sense in terms of the development that these projects were, right? So therefore we started thinking about how we could do this. And so after this pilot program was done, we are now in the stage where we're like took a lot of the learnings from the pilot, and one of the things we realized was that we didn't want to do this by ourselves, right? Being a program about open hardware projects, we wanted actually to bring in the community because there is so much expertise and so many knowledge from this community that we could together make something much better than if we're just working the four of us in this new program, right? And this is where now we move to basically being open hardware makers and opening this for the community to review before we start the next cohort. I think you can move to the next one. Yeah. And so now, why do we want to do this community consultation, right? As I mentioned, there are so much knowledge and so many people doing different things that the three of us do not represent or know about everything, right? So we want to know in different settings, people that are not necessarily working inside academia or not doing science directly, what kind of experiences they have. Maybe they are in a different context and different things that they could learn or that they could show us, right? And by having this community review, we want to also prepare the project to be um, set in a way that more people can fork it and run it independently from being a centralized thing. Of course, if people want to run together with the cohorts that we're going to offer, that's fine. But the idea is that this is kind of like an independent block that people can then later just fork it, adapt to their needs, or just run the original version. Let's call it original version, um, and learn from it, right? And also by opening to the community, we can learn what they need and what are the pain points they have at the moment that they would like to solve when developing open projects. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one. And now Julieta will take the lead.
Hey, so as Andre was mentioning, I'm going to go through the basics of the program, the main, like the bones of the program. And these are heavily inspired by Mozilla Open Leaders because, as Alex mentioned, we come from there. So something very important is to understand who would be applying to this program, who is Open Hardware Makers for. And we, after the pilot and after discussing a lot and trying to understand who can benefit the most from this program, we thought that Open Hardware Makers is for either a person or a team. If it's a team, better, they can participate also. Running a hardware project or aiming to start a hardware project. Something important here is that it's not just a, I mean, it could be a crazy idea that came to you out of nowhere, but it needs to have some work on. So if you have a crazy idea, maybe just that has some work and that you can demonstrate that you have a certain orientation on how to implement the idea. But it's a hardware project that aims to be open and aims to apply the best practices in terms of that we will see in the following slides in terms of documentation, of licenses, standardization, etc. And another very important item, a very important value we see in this program is that the person who applies and successfully applies aims to be an active member of the open hardware community and basically the global open hardware movement. This is not, when we talk about the open hardware community, because we come mostly from GOSH, from the open science hardware community. This doesn't mean that it's the only community we are referring to. We participate in many different communities, we have many hats, and we want to address these very diverse communities that exist within the open hardware field. So that's Open Hardware Makers is for a person or a team that is starting a project that aims to be open and aims to be an active member and support the global open hardware movement. And the idea is that through the program, it's a 14-week program plus 1 week for a demo of projects. The idea is, yeah, there are 4 main learning goals. No, sorry. The first one is to understand what openness means in terms of hardware projects. As Alex was mentioning, we went through Open Hardware Leaders, most of us with hardware projects, and this is why we are here with our fork specifically for hardware, and it's because openness in hardware has lots of specifics we need to address, and that are a bit difficult to understand and different from software. Second, not only understand openness, but also how to apply this, how to concretely build an open project, open hardware project that follows best practices and turns to be a useful piece for anyone to fork or reuse. Another thing, learning goal that is important for us is that the person who goes through the program can connect and become an active member of open source hardware communities. And this includes things, for example, as not only building open projects, but practicing open discussion and constructive feedback, prepare projects for external collaboration, and understanding the value of community guidelines, not just putting a community guideline out there because it is what we do right now, because everyone is doing it, but understanding it and enforcing community guidelines. And last but not least, we expect people going through the program to promote the values of open hardware, to empower other people to lead and collaborate. So this is what also Andre was mentioning in terms of we're really interested in people appropriating the program and forking and doing their own stuff with it. So next. So a very, very important part of this program, for those of you who already know open leaders, this may be familiar, is that there are three main roles. There are mentees, which are successful applicants to the program. Mentees are people or teams who have a project and want to make it open. Mentors, which are people which may not be a super technical experts in open hardware, but are people able to guide, support mentees through the 14, 15 weeks of the program, so they don't get disappointed along the way, or they don't get lost along the way, and they complete their vision till the end. Then we have the experts, which complement this, this support with technical expertise. So expertise in very different domains, and this have different experts, for example, have less time, dedication in terms of time to the program than mentors that meet weekly, bi-weekly with mentees. We will see that later. So yes, three main roles. And this is like a main visual of what the program is about. So we start with a hardware project that aims to be open. And there are two activities that will happen all along the 14, 15 weeks. One is mentorship meetings or one-to-one support. This will happen alternatively with cohort meetings. And this is done in a way that in a certain week, the mentee will go through some content. They will read, watch videos, see some content, analyze, and try to apply it to their own projects. The mentor will guide the mentee in this process, in this bi-weekly meetings. And then the progress made will be reviewed by the fellow mentees, because we will have a cohort call, which is, to give you an idea, in the last, in the pilot, we made a selection of around 9, 10 projects. So cohorts will probably be that size or more. We don't know yet, but it depends on applications. But the idea is to receive peer review of your progress. So these are the two main activities that will be consistent along the program. And then we will have an experts assessment, and to try to understand if all the different technical expertise required is there and is solid. And a very important part of this program is also a global sprint. Again, for those who are familiar with Mozilla Open Leaders, this is well done already, but for those of you who are not, global sprint is the aim of this program is to be able to have your hardware project open and everyone be able to collaborate with it. And you are going to show that in the public demo, which is the last week. It will demand some work. So to accelerate and to put all hands into work towards that goal, we will have a global sprint before the public demo. The global sprint will be 2 days where you will intensely work on your project, and also you will collaborate with mentees, other fellow mentees projects. So the idea is that 2 consistent activities that aim to support in the progress, and then expert assessment, global sprint, and public demo to get a nice final demo and project. Yep, sorry, next. All of this I told you is basically in this table, which has the 15 weeks. As you see, we have, of course, an opening call. Welcome to Open Hardware Makers. This is like an introduction. And then we have alternating a mentor call, a peer review, mentor call, peer review. In the middle, we have an expert assessment. Then work on the project demo and showcase of projects. So this is the main skeleton of the program. In this review, what we wanted to ask input for is for the content. So in yellow, you will see the units or proper content we will be transmitting during this program. And this is currently under review in this community review, and then with the experts review, as you will see. So two important, very, very important notes in here is that open hardware makers, as you see, if you go through the titles in yellow, like staging your project, building open projects, specific to hardware, licensing, road mapping, community. These are not, we don't have units here such as 3D printing, basic electronics, or things like that, right? And it's because open hardware makers is not a technical training program. It's a training for projects to acquire best practices on working open applied to open hardware. So as we recognize that technical skills are super important in order for projects to succeed, because they can fail if not, what we do is connect projects that go through the program with our pool of experts that can provide this expertise, this technical expertise. And these experts are available for consulting, and of course they will be part of the expert assessment, but the core technical knowledge is not part of the curriculum. Another important point is that a big discussion in open hardware is about platforms for documentation. And we think we can build on some very interesting initiatives that have been happening in the open hardware community. And we don't want to enforce one platform for documentation. We know people document open hardware development in many different platforms, and we think that's okay. But what we really want to do is to enforce the use of open standards, so these projects can be found easily. So yes, we're working with community standards, and we will try, we will enforce projects to use them so we can track them. Next. So how is the review process organized? As we were saying many times during this presentation, we have a community contribution stage, or first phase, let's say, where we have these explosions of ideas, suggestions. Basically is just make comments on the content of the program. Any comment is okay, of course, as long as it respects our community guidelines and is respectful. Any comment is well received. If you have any crazy ideas, it's fine. This is the moment for dropping them. And the idea is to have as diverse input as possible for the second step, which is an expert consultation. The experts are selected basically following demographics criteria, and besides the demographic, gender balance criteria. And what we do is pre-process this input after it finishes. The first community contribution ends in the end of July. After that, we will process this with the experts, and we will have the expert consultation. And we expect by the beginning of September to have the curriculum published. Of course, I think we said this many times already, but it will be open for anyone to take it and use it and do whatever they want with it. And also it will be translated to different languages, because we think that's a very important thing to do if we want to go. So yes, invited experts are 13 people. So yep, we can move on to Alex, and he will make a quick demo on how to contribute to our review.
I think you already got the link to our document, also via the email. We also will share the link again, but I will give you a quick live demo of what you will find when you are looking at the document. 1 second. So now you should see the document, right? So what we have here in the very beginning, it's just like an introduction in the written form, basically what we already told you about how the consultation process is structured and so on. Here's like a super important date, because you now have 2 weeks for the community review. So 2 weeks to have a look at the document, 2 weeks to leave your comments. And also like an important note, which we put also into the document, you can leave us the comments in all languages, and we will try to translate them or find somebody to translate them. It's maybe a bad thing to say this in English, but it's also in different languages more down there. Here again are the learning goals. This is all part of the basics, which are, well, you can leave us comments, but it's not up for debate. We need your input to for the content of our modules. Here's also the information about the program structure and so on, and also who are actually our users. Right, so that's where the review now starts. And we have this example module in the very beginning. All the modules in the following are structured like that. So we have a short description about like what we actually want to do, or what information we want to transport in this module. And this one is a very important one, the goal of the week. Just one sentence, basically like describing what should happen, or what the participants should learn in this week, in this module. Then we have the content. The content can be like text, links to videos, and so on. So different formats. If you have any, so basically the whole module is up for discussion. So you can leave us comments about like what you would like to see in there. You can also try and maybe also help us with what you would see, what would the goal be, and so on and so on. So what we also have per week is our assignments. So we have different assignments which should be connected also to the content of the week and also connected to the goal of the week, right? And a collection of resources in the very end of the document. You can also see that's where we wrote down that you can write in the comments in any language. I hope if you want to share this document with other people who might be able to read English very well, but are not confident in writing comments in English, they can leave comments in any language they want. Right, and now just like a quick look into maybe the first module. Here you see the description, the goal of the week, and here you can leave us comments about the content, some things you want to add. We also left already some comments when we made up, like when we created this document and gave some additional information, like this checklist and so on. And you will find this like in different ways for all the modules. In total, as you could see, we have 8 modules, and you are welcome to leave us any input you have on this. We are really looking forward to new resources, things which we might not have on our, which we don't know, new things and so on. And as Julieta said, if there's any crazy idea you have, this is the right place to get rid of it, and leave us your comments. And share what you think.
If you, something I think we didn't mention, if you have comments on the order of the modules, if you have comments in, hey, I think this unit is missing, just leave them. We will go through them. So we leave them whenever it's more comfortable for you, but that's also very important for us if you feel that the flow would be better in a different way, or we are missing a key resource, that's all up.
Exactly.
Another thing is that we plan to do something like an online book with this.
Mm-hmm.
There is a link somewhere. I think it's up with, it's similar to, it's a book that is published through GitHub or GitLab, so it's editable and forkable by anyone. So yeah, no, it's fine. I think it's some inspiration here, there.
Where was it? Some inspiration here. Exactly, and that's where we want to end up basically. So you will also read, if you have a look at the content, you will also read about an open hardware canvas. And that's what we also want to create during this whole review process, and yeah, also in starting our program, we want to have an open canvas adjusted to open hardware and also to our open hardware makers program, right? And I
Yeah.
hope you see this webpage? This is from Mozilla, and we will the Open Leadership Training Series, and that's also what we want to end up. Yeah, finally have the different modules like that, and with the different sections and the content, resources, and so on and so on.
You will see also that there is no unit here that talks about sustainability or things like that are a bit more advanced. And we are aiming this program itself for projects that are very like in the beginning. So that's why we also don't have like organizing open source events, also because with COVID it's a bit it's a bit weird. But if you have ideas for maybe level 2 of open hardware makers, or I don't know, projects that have already gone through the first one, may go through the second one, those are completely well received also. And you can list, hey, I think for a, I don't know, for a second stage, this would be an important topic that we cannot miss. Juan Carlos, the link for Mozilla is, we can link you here, but it's in the document too. It's in the document review also.
Exactly. It's in the document review, it's here.
Yeah.
It's also said here, and here's some inspiration here. Exactly, we already forked it to our GitHub repository. So we will basically rework it and make a open hardware makers training series out of it, like analog to what Mozilla created. Yep. And I think with this, yeah, we are at the end of our presentation. If you have anything to add, Andre, Julieta?
Yeah, just one thing before, while people gather their thoughts to make questions, we forgot to add, but this consultation process has been funded also by Mozilla, by the Mozilla Foundation. And so, yeah, we would just like to say, sorry, we forgot to put it on the slides for the presentation, but thank you anyways. And I'm sure we can update the slides so that when we make them available, this is there somewhere.
Yes, we should.
That's all that I wanted to add. Thank you for everybody who joined this call. Please ask questions. Thanks for Juli and Alex so far for presenting it as well.
And you can reach us via email if you want to leave the call right now. You can leave us comments. You probably will also find our contact details on the online. Yeah, I will stop sharing my screen now and would open up for questions.
Oh, something, sorry, I forgot, is that it's in the link in the last slide, but we will be using the GOSH forum. I don't know if everyone is aware of what GOSH is, but it's the Global Open Science Hardware Community. And we have a category here, there in the forum, and we will be using quite a lot. So you can also leave a message there. Yeah, great. Thanks, Alex, for the link.
Are there any questions?
Or suggestions or ideas, it's fine.
Can I talk here, Saulo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hello, everyone. It's amazing to see the project, how it like started, and now how to get the end of the first stage. So congratulations, everyone. And also, like, I would like to make a suggestion concerning to the licenses. But I saw right now that was added. I guess that last night wasn't, but like it was very fast. But anyways, it's very important, this stuff, because there are a lot of political side and also the practical side, but also the political side concerning to the licenses. And but something and this is a good one that's already there. But one thing that I missed there is it's something that's a problem for us working with open hardware. That's the business model. I don't know if I couldn't see. I don't know if it's there. I didn't see. I don't know. But the business model is a very challenging part because for software it's a quite advanced because of the time, like starting from the 1980s. But this is still being a difficult side on people working with open hardware. And this I see a lot of projects, even projects that was like inside the open hardware maker program, that people a bit misconfusion about, oh, like I'm licensing this and as an open source, and that I couldn't sell it, and I couldn't make money, and I could like have a kind of or start up a company or even a research group that would be external support. And and this is not clear for me, but this is something that we have to talk more and together to reach the same, because it's very difficult even for business people. So I guess that my suggestion would be, or my question would be, that it wouldn't be nice to have a more hacker in the maker, because it's something that it's not to reproduce this stuff, but actually to remix it, to get some experience on business, traditional business model, and mix it to apply to what we are doing now. So like, yeah, my question is like a bit opinion, but a bit of question about this.
Sorry, yeah. So I mean, it's a completely valid point. There are like many subgroups and many groups and many communities discussing this, right? Like how, like I think the only way to make open source hardware really a worldwide super available thing is if there is a way for it also to be incorporated into this, like into businesses, and for people to actually make a, like put it into a business setting. I think for us on open hardware makers, the goal is not to like, we don't have this anywhere because this is not our goal, right? And we think that what we want to achieve with open hardware makers, and Juliette and Alex can correct me if this is wrong, is basically prepare, like guide and help people to prepare their projects to be a very well proper documented open source hardware project, and thinking that this is the cornerstone for whatever they want to do with the project later. So if they want to transform it into a business, if it's properly documented and well funded, or well, if the foundation is properly done, then they can make it into a business or not, right? A lot of open source hardware projects are really just like a piece of art that I wanted to make for a festival. But then if it's properly documented, it's a much better piece of art for others people to copy and remix. Then it's not properly documented, and it doesn't have to be a business model.
So yeah, in terms of that, I would say, yeah, I of course I agree with Andre with what he's saying. I also think it's super interesting because, as you mentioned, Saulo, it's an ongoing conversation. There is no handbook, or I mean, there are some authors writing on open source hardware business models, but it's not something as mature as software or other business models, right? So I think it would also be interesting if we keep like the momentum on the discussion, and we start generating more, not only theoretical discussion, but like based on real cases. So I think this is my opinion, this could be a separate like level 2 for those projects who go through this first program and are interested. Because another thing that happens a lot with open source hardware is that there are projects that are run by students, and students may not want to have a, sometimes yeah, but sometimes not, make a company out of the project. I see it a lot here that they, as part of the masters, they do a project, and if they don't even proper document it, that's lost forever. So the idea is to for them to, and there was, as Sandra was saying, give them like the basic foundations for that, and then if that is properly done, then anyone can make a business model out of it. But I think both, it's a super important thing that we need to discuss more, and if we don't even have the basic documentation, we cannot even start discussing it. So, yeah. Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Emilio.
Yeah. Hey. I'm super happy to see this program becoming more and more and more like, I don't know. Yeah, more. I didn't want to say professionalized because it was already professional, but it's like very sturdy and strong, and I really like this. As a mentor from the previous program, now defunct, and now this new one, I see great potential, especially for, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned to Julieta before, that I felt that it was complicated to follow up with different, people with different objectives. One was to start from scratch an idea, and the other was a person who already had this project and they just wanted to bring it into the market and were ready to create a community. So that is one thing. I see that that having a good program design will help us tackle that. And the other feedback that I thought was relevant was that all of the materials had to, at the end, be brought back into the mentors and the people who were supporting the program, because I personally felt that I didn't know much of the, like many of the things that were being taught to the people in the cohort. And you know, it is what it is, and sometimes you have to study what you have to teach. So it is normal, but I would love for you to consider that possibility at the end, and before, like a transition between creating the materials that we have, that we will create, and then having, like the course, and for mentors and experts to go through it in a practical way so that we can absorb and also be on the same page. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Emilio. Thanks for the feedback. So something we also did not mention, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we are also planning to do mentors, like onboarding, and also have a mentor session before we start to get you also all on board and on the same page. So this is super important. And yeah, as you said, by really defining quite a lot of things, and defining the program scope, defining all the different roles, like really precisely, we also want to make it clearer for who this program actually is. So we have like, we actually get those people the program is aiming for.
And also this time is mandatory for mentors, because last time was optional. And I think, I mean, we think it's better if we have everyone on the same page beforehand. So yeah, I think that will improve a lot. It will also make it easier to interact, you know, to get to know each other, because that's another very important thing we wanted to improve for this round, next round, which is starting next year, February, just FYI. Is that we would like to have much more interaction, cross interaction, not only mentor, mentee, expert, but also we want mentors to talk to each other, and we want mentees. That's why we have the peer review, and we want to create community in that way. I think Miguel has a question. He raised his hand.
Yeah, just switching to my camera. Hi everyone, it's really great to see the project, really love it. I just discovered it this week. And yeah, just quickly, I see the document you're preparing, and maybe just my few comments about the guidelines related to how mentors or mentees will be applied to the projects. That would be very nice to see. Basically, like maybe if I, like, let's say I want to be a mentee, or maybe apply for, like, to be an expert on on helping other projects. So some sort of see like what will be the requirements that you expect to see for that person, or maybe the skills that the mentee can provide, and that way you can maybe see, okay, maybe this person has more experience in software or hardware, and then that can just helping you to sort of organize the mentees and and also the projects as well. And yeah, so that's something that may be good to put in the guidelines. And I think you already consider that, but I will also add more comments because yes, I just see quickly just this week, but I will add more comments in the following days before you closing, yeah, the revision.
That's great. Thank you. We didn't put it in the slides, I think, because we didn't want it to be super cluttered. But in the document, there are some, the roles description are a bit thicker and a bit more detailed. Because it includes not only the profile, but also the dedication in time that these roles require. But yes, we also, there is a lot of work also from this side, from the organizer side, on pairing mentors and mentees and trying to have their interests aligned, and besides time zones and things like that. But yes, that would be, we welcome any comment you have on selection criteria, let's say. And of course, we will open this call, but if you want to contribute as experts, as mentors, just drop us a note. You can send us an email or to our personal emails if you don't want to send it to the main inbox, but also to the main inboxes we already did. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will, we will to share our comments. And I don't know if Canario is a open hardware project.
That's a nice question to have. For those of you who don't know, it's his project.
It's interesting. It's an open hardware project. 100% open hardware project is impossible in this era, but is the goal. The optimal goal is,
let's call them meta
to be 100% open hardware. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Is there any other suggestion, comment? Okay. And also, sorry, I forgot something, is that we are working with many domains. So not only science, we have some bias, of course, towards science hardware, but it's projects that are not science hardware can also apply. So just bear that in mind. Feel free to spread the link with anyone you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if there are any other questions or comments or suggestions, does anybody want to still say something? Let's say last chance. Okay, I think if that's not the case, and Alex and Julieta also don't have anything else to add, I think maybe we can say thank you very much again for taking time, for some of you in a Friday afternoon, for some of you in a Friday morning, to join us and listen to what we had to say and make these wonderful comments and be already part of the Open Hardware Makers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
wait,
you.
Can we just have one last saying bye so that I can make a screenshot?
Okay.
Please. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.